I'm Rick Sturko of the STS-117 crew. You're watching NASA TV.
From Launch Complex 39 at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, this is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 3 hours and holding. We are now in the final 6 hours of the countdown for the launch of Atlantis on mission STS-117, the 21st mission for construction of the International Space Station. The countdown is being controlled from Firing Room 4 at the Launch Control Center. And right now we are on schedule for liftoff at 7:38 p.m. Eastern Time. STS-117 is planned to last 11 days with 2 possible extension days. Landing is currently planned to occur on Tuesday, June 19th at 2:44 p.m. Eastern Time. This is the 118th launch of the Space Shuttle program, the 28th launch of Space Shuttle Atlantis, and the 19th flight to the International Space Station. Astronauts have been living continuously on the space station now for the last 6.5 years. We're going now into the breakfast and at the dining room. We see our crew.
Here we have Clay Anderson seated at the end of the table. He's gone to the space station to replace Sonny Williams. Sitting next to him is MS4, Jim Riley, our EV1 for STS-117. Seated next to Jim is Danny Olivas. Danny's going to be the MS3 and EV2 for the mission. There's Steve Swanson. He's the MS2 and another one of our spacewalkers. Sitting next to him is Pat Forrester. And at the other end of the table we have Colonel Lee Archambault and Colonel Rick Sturko, our PLT and commander.
And at this point, they're about to have lunch, I assume.
Yes, sir, they are. They've been up for a few hours now, and they're going to have a meal and then proceed to the suit room to get suited up after their weather briefing.
And here we are in the suit-up room. Dex, can we tell who we got there?
Yeah, that's the commander. That's Rick Sturko, and the pilot, Colonel Lee Archambault, getting his boots laced up there. Lee's the pilot. He's also one of the space station robotic arm operators. That looks like Pat Forrester, the MS1 for the flight. He'll go uphill and do the entry on the flight deck, sitting behind the pilot. Pat's a retired Army colonel. And there's Clay Anderson. Clay's MS5 for the ascent portion of the flight, and he's gone up to the space station to replace Sonny Williams, who's coming home on this flight. Clay will come home on STS-120 in October. Looks like he's excited and ready to go, doesn't it? Clay is one of my classmates and became an astronaut with me in 1998. There's Jim Riley. Jim's EV1 for the flight. He'll take part in 2 of the spacewalks and then be the IV coordinator for the 3rd spacewalk. Jim's also a Navy reservist. And at one point he was I think he told me he was the oldest ensign in the Navy. There's Danny Olivas. Danny, also from the 98 astronaut class, is the MS3 for the flight. He's on 2 of the spacewalks with Jim Riley, and I know he's excited and ready to go as well. We've been waiting a long time for this.
Now, hooked up there, what's connected to the helmet?
Yeah, Steve is doing his final pressurization checks. This is Steve Swanson, the MS2 for the flight, and also one of the spacewalkers, and he's doing his final pressurization checks. The suit is a pressurized suit, and we want to make sure there aren't any leaks in it. And the helmet is an integral part of that, and so they close it up and do final pressure checks and also make sure the communications gear works while it's pressurized.
This is Shuttle Launch Control, T-minus 2 hours, 55 minutes, 9 seconds and counting. We see our STS-117 flight crew is now leaving the suit-up room. Dex, what are they thinking right now?
They're just real excited. They're ready to go. They're ready to get strapped into the vehicle, and they're concentrating on the mission. As you can see, you get the flight crew and the chief astronaut, Steve Lindsay, and one of the insertion techs and management personnel are on the elevator with them, and they'll take that down to the first floor and head out in just a few minutes. And here comes the crew. Rick Sturco and Lee Archambault leading the crew out. And there's Steve Swanson and Pat Forrester. And in the back row, Daniel Levis and Jim Riley, and there's Clay Anderson. Those suits are quite warm, and inside the Astrovan is nice and air conditioned, and they've got some liquid cooling lines that they can hook up to and stay cool inside the suits until they get out to the pad. It's astronaut Jerry Ross and Steve Lindsay and Mike Bloomfield, our Deputy Flight Crew Operations Director, is going to join them on the Astrovan there. Looks like the commander has entered the crew module now. This view is provided by a camera that's installed by the astronaut support personnel there, and it's kept in the crew module just before hatch closure. So Mike's going to help CJ into his seat. So this view is in the commander's side window, George, looking across the flight deck. And here we see CJ laying on his back, he's looking forward through the forward windows. Mike is standing on the aft windows. We have some hard platforms that we put in place on those windows so that it can support his weight while he's helping the crew get strapped in and finishing the final checks. You can see that he's got a headset on, and he can communicate with the crew, but also with personnel here in the firing room, the NTD and the orbiter test conductor, for any switches that need to be moved after the crew gets strapped in. George, we've got a view here from a mid-deck camera that's attached to the mid-deck wall over on the starboard or the right side of the vehicle, and you're looking toward the hatch here. So Jim's entering the vehicle, and he's walking along a piece of fabric that we stretched